Ladies and gentlemen, another special interview audio edition for the Unsung Heroes. A bit of a full circle moment here. My first ever interview for the Unsung Heroes was with this guy back after High Point 2023 when he made his professional motocross debut. Saturday night in Pittsburgh, he scored a career best 12th place finish in the main event to cap off what's been the best season of his young career so far. He's been building all year, and in Pittsburgh, that definitely showed. The rider of the number 137 HBI Racing KTM from Dade City, Florida. Please welcome back to the Unsung Heroes, Ayden Shive. What's up, dude? That's on your
Yeah,
career
man.
best.
What's up, man? Appreciate it, man.
First question, getting right into it. You were solid all day, top 20 in qualifying. Just missed the cut a little bit in your heat race, but you went out there in the LCQ and you made things happen. You got by Lahovey and got your first LCQ win and the second for the HBI team. And then a strong main event. Take me through your day, how the sessions went, how you were feeling throughout it, and what got you to P12 at the end of the night.
Yeah, man. At the end of the season, uh, I really started clicking things off and started riding like how I can, and yeah, man. Just felt really good that day. Um, Felt pretty good on track walk, and started getting the lines down, studying the track, and it all started from quali. Like we didn't have a free practice, so I already knew in my head I got to hurry up and throw a fast lap down. Um, did that. Got used to the track. Connected with the track. Feeling good on the bike. Um, yeah, man. Got a decent start in the heat. Battled my way up to 11th. Had 10th right in front of me. Missed it by one spot or two spots. LCQ came around, capitalized on the start, rode good. I think I passed for the lead about 3 laps in. Yeah, got a good first place, man. Came around the checker flag first, so that was pretty sick. The main event came around, felt really good. Had a all right gate pick from the outside. Made it happen with a good start. I think I was top 8, top 10, half the like more than 90% of the moto. Faded down just a hair bit. Got passed by two riders. I battled the whole way, the whole main event. Felt good. I could hang up there all year long. I just had to put myself in a good position. Next thing you know, checker flag came out and I crossed the finish line in 12th. Best career finish so far. And I'm looking forward to next season and some outdoors this year.
It was a great way to cap off the year for you. And for those who might not be familiar with some of the riding and how tense it is when you get in that spot, can you take people through a little bit how intense it was finally being able to run around those top guys? You've made a couple mains this year, but being able to get out front in the top 10, I'm sure you finally got to see really how fast those guys go at the beginning of the race, and it was probably a little eye-opening for you.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Everyone who can make a main event is pretty badass. Their speed is pretty sick, and I just had to believe in myself, believe in my work. I worked my ass off this whole season, and you know, just putting myself in a good position. I know I could run up a decent pace, or if not the same pace as the top guys. I mean, I trained with Seth Hammaker, Chance Hymas, Colin Park. I mean, I'm not off by a lot from those guys at the practice track. They're about 2.5, maybe a second faster than me at the practice track. So like, if I could ride like that at the race, um, then we'll be good. And I made that happen this past weekend, and in the main event, I got a good start, like I said, and I kind of just you know rode with the flow and kind of just picked on some riders and just matched their pace for a good while. And next thing you know, I'm riding their pace, and just like how I know I can. And there we go. And that was really all she wrote.
That kind of leads into one of the questions I had wrote down to ask you. You talk about being with Hammaker, Hymus, all these other guys, the Lawrence brothers too, down at the dog pound. What is the dynamic like between you guys? Obviously, you have some of the absolute elite of our sport down there, and you're training with them, riding with them, just hanging out and generally buddies with those guys day in and day out. What is it like to have champions or race winning level guys to be able to compare yourself to and motivate yourself to say, hey, if I can get a little bit closer to these guys during the week, I know I'm going to move up on Saturdays when race day comes?
Yeah, man. Definitely training with them every day out the week is definitely probably the biggest thing that's helped me get this far. Um, I mean, they're awesome people, man. They're regular people, but when it's time to do work, when it's time to be in the gym, to be on the track, at the end of the day, they're professionals. I'm a professional, so we take our job pretty serious, and just get like being around them, and like kind of studying like their mindset and the way they act and the way like they're always trying to get better is makes me better as a rider, a racer. And I'm just all right, well, if they're doing this, then I need to be doing this. And if they're doing this many laps, I need to do the same thing, because at the end of the day, they're where they're at because of how hard they work, and I'm trying to get there. And so I'm truly blessed to be able to ride and train with them throughout the week for sure.
I think that's a really great mindset to have going into working with those guys because it's very hard to describe how fast and how just technically sound those guys are, but you at least get a glimpse of it every week. And like you said, nothing comes without hard work, and I think that's starting to show this year with your results. The three main events you qualified for, all different scenarios. Your first one, your first career main event as well, was in Detroit, and that was when the entire class was pretty much still healthy. Everybody was still getting things going at the very start of the season. Then you put it in the show at the absolute mud fest that was Foxborough. And then fast forward to Saturday night in Pittsburgh. You were able to put it through the LCQ. It looked like it might be wet, but the dirt dried out really well and was a little bit harder soil, it seemed like, even though it started to rut up. So what was it like being able to put it in the main event all of those times, but also building confidence and saying, hey, I can make it in a dome, I can make it in the mud, I can make it in the dry in an open stadium? What was it like to be able to build some of that confidence knowing that all these different conditions and different levels of depths of talent that you're being able to go up there and compete with those guys?
Yeah, man, it's definitely, a pretty good feeling to make that. I made my first main event up in Detroit, and that's always been a goal of mine, but like it was never really like a thing on my brain. You know what I'm saying? Like I was always wanting to go make it through qualifying and just have a decent race and just be up there. Once I made that main event, it was like, all right, my goals have changed now. I want to be in the main event every night, every race night. And I was chased after some more main events, and it eventually your mind changes to where you start believing in that you are a main event guy. And once that happens, you're like, it's an awesome feeling, man. Like you can't really go back to settling not being a main event guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I proved I can ride. I'm a main event guy in the mud, on dry tracks, um, whatever tracks you can really think of. You know, uh, I think the mud race, making it in the main event there, was probably the toughest thing I ever did in my life. Like You have Austin Faulkner. You have so many other guys who did not make that main event because how tough it was. Staying up on two wheels, not blowing your bike up, just not doing something stupid. And I think that's definitely a pretty solid way to go out this season is having that big old mud race and making it through a main there, and then having obviously dry races so where you can prove that you actually can ride Supercross and make a main event is pretty sick. So yeah.
Going into this season, I know that in the past, during part of your amateur career, you rode a KTM, but your first couple years professional, you were aboard a Kawasaki. With the HBI effort, you and Cole Bradford, your teammate, have been riding together for several years now. Was it a team sort of idea that you were approached by Matt Bell and some of the officials at HBI and say, hey, we're going to KTMs, or was that something that you two as riders sort of suggested to the team since you're a smaller operation?
Um. Well, to be honest, it was kind of just like up in the air. It was kind of just like, all right, we have these cowies. We have a lot of parts. We can keep riding it, build, have some parts for us if we want to keep riding cowies, or we had sponsors. I had a sponsor, and then Cole had a sponsor that both bought us KTMs. That both wanted us to ride KTMs. So we were like, okay, well, if they if they had two fresh new bikes for us each, then there we go. We can ride KTM. They last a little bit longer. I think they're just better bikes overall. Um, yeah. It wasn't that big of a change, I guess. I mean, me and Cole both have ridden KTM's growing up our whole life, and it was kind of just back at home riding on a KTM. But yeah.
Going into the year, obviously you were back with the HBI crew, like I mentioned with Cole Bradford. What's the dynamic like between you guys? I saw a little bit of it on Friday afternoon during press day. The HBI team has always been, at least in my time, whether it was talking to you or talking to Matt or somebody around the team, it has always seemed like a very positive and very friendly environment for you guys, not only as racers, but mechanics and everyone else involved. So take me through a little bit of how the team dynamic is getting to race the weekends with those guys. And I know that Matt and Darla have been very big and instrumental in your career, being able to help you get to this point where now you can be a main event guy and run in the top 10 for a good chunk of the race.
Yeah, man. It's always been like, I guess everyone on the team, like their dream to be at a professional race doing this whole team as a professional. Um Me and Cole, fun fact, me and Cole actually grew up hating each other. Because we raced each other growing up as a kid. He was a bit faster than me. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. Um, it got pretty intense, and then as we got older, started racing each other in A class, things started just calming down, and we kind of matured. And next thing you know, we're on the same team together. And just like that, our friendship came closer, and next thing he's like a brother to me. But no, it's pretty sick, going to all these Supercross races as a team, because all of us, we all know, we can't do this forever. This won't be forever. So we just kind of take it, race by race, and kind of just sit back and realize what we're doing is pretty badass, and it's always been our dream to do it. I guess if the world would end tomorrow, I feel like we are pretty happy to at least have two seasons underneath our belt for sure. You know, you can't take this for granted, man. We everyone at the HBI, on the team. love love doing this, so that makes it a lot better.
One last thing here. You mentioned a little bit towards the start saying that you might run a few outdoors. Do you have any specific ones lined up, and will we see the entire crew there, or is it just a little bit of your own effort for the summer?
Yeah, as of right now, it's just gonna be me and my uncle right now. You know, tag teaming it up, trying to figure out what to do. Cole's not doing outdoors. HBI, we're kind of like a Supercross only type of deal now. You know, outdoors is just I don't think it's not on our budget. Um, we think just Supercross is a little bit more worth our time. But um, I think I'm gonna try. You know, we're gonna try our best to make it to each East Coast rounds for sure. Um, we're still thinking about how we can make it out to the Cali rounds. But we'll see, and there's some stuff in the workings, and here in a few next few weeks we'll have a better game plan to see what the plan is for sure.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another special interview. As I was talking to Ayden on Friday, as I mentioned also in the beginning of this, talking about Ayden was the first guy I ever interviewed. Some random 20-year-old college kid just shooting a professional motocross guy questions, being like, hey, let's talk about this. I'm writing an article. And then here we are, almost 2 years later. Ayden gets a career best finish, and I'm watching up in the press box because I was lucky enough and fortunate to have a media pass and credential and be there for the weekend for my first time. Sometimes it's funny how life works and comes full circle in a way, and that was one of those moments to be able to watch somebody grow and develop over the last couple years. And it was a great weekend to be able to not only talk to you but some of the other racers that I've had the privilege of interviewing. And thanks once again for the time.
Yeah,
Go
man, no problem.
go follow Ayden on Instagram, Ayden Shive 731. If you need to ask him a question, I'm sure he'll be open to answering him. And if you want to maybe support his outdoor program, I don't know how many sponsors he's got on board, but I'm sure he'd love some help if anybody's willing to reach out that listens to this. And
Yes, sir.
once again, this is HBI Racing's Ayden Shive, 12th place finish at the Pittsburgh Supercross. Thank you all for listening once again, and be sure to follow him through the rest of the season.